What's going on, everybody? Welcome to our third tutorial of interview problem series. In this tutorial we are going to solve a problem asked by Amazon and Facebook. The question is actually simple and it contains a data structure, a linked list, which most of you might know. If you don't know, you can check out my linked list series. In this question, they've asked you that given an initial linked list, check if it's a palindrome or not. So if you don't know what palindrome is, it's actually simple. If it's forward, like assume a string 0 1 0. If its readability from forward and reverse are the same, so 0 1 0 from forward and 0 1 0 from backwards, it's a palindrome. So they want you to find if this list is a palindrome or not. However, there are some conditions again, and the first condition is you need to use a constant additional space. As well as solve this task in order of n time. So how to solve this? If you solve this question, you might see these answers. Actually, they're a little bit of long, I think. So for example, they've used the same parameter to check a cycle, or I don't know, find the middle node value. You contain a two node pointer, slow and fast. You traverse the slow pointer with 1 and the fast pointer with 2 and compare them afterwards. However, as you can see, these solutions are kinda long, I think. So let's look at Python. They are really the same. Let's look at Java. It's actually a little bit long too. And C++ is actually a little bit of long, and they are always similar solutions. So a slow pointer, a fast pointer, traverse fast with 2 and traverse slow with 1, then compare the left half with the right half actually. However, there is a better solution, and I think this solution is more understandable and I think it's more pretty. So let's try to solve it now. So if you remember, you can print a linked list like this. So I'm just, let's state here. So I have a simple linked list 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. If you want to print this linked list as a reversed function, so if you given an initial list and they wanted you to print it out from reverse, you can do it in 3 or 4 lines of code with recursion actually. So let's write it now, then let's talk about how to use this recursion to solve this initial problem, okay? So it's actually a really simple method, so let's call this rev. It has just one value, head, and if head is equals to null pointer, we are just going to return from the function. Otherwise, we are going to call reverse again and traverse our linked list by 1. And after these operations, we are just going to print out the value of our linked list. So let's try this function now. So I am calling reverse with head. So as you can see, it gives 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as from reversed. So now we know how to reverse a linked list, but how can we compare it with the forward linked list? That is the initial problem. Actually, we can do it in a simple way. Let me explain it first. If we have a node value, the head node, in the outer scope, in the global scope, as well as a boolean, and we will delete this line here, and we are going to compare it with the global scoped node. And after each operation, after each comparison, we are going to traverse our current node with 1. Therefore, we are going to check the left and right operations of the initial linked list. So let's implement it, then after we can talk about it. So it will go like this. We are going to have a boolean value. Let's call this value flag, and let's set it to true. So if boolean, this flag stays true, then we know that this linked list is a palindrome, and we are going to return true from it, okay? Otherwise, we are going to set this flag to false, and if it is false, we are going to return 0, which will say that the linked list is not palindrome. So as I said before, we are going to create a temp node here, or you can call it whatever you want. And in the main function, we are going to set this temp node to our head node. So it will contain the head values. So after this creation of linked list, I am just going to set temp is equals to what head. Alright, so now temp is equals to head. So what to do now? As you remember, after this 38 line, now we have the reverse linked list. So we can do our operations here, and it will go like this. If our head's data is not equals to temp's data, so head node's value is not equals to temp node's value, therefore this linked list is not a palindrome. We are going to set our flag to false, and we are just going to return out from our function. Actually, if you don't want, you don't need to write this return here. It's just your choice. And otherwise, we are just going to traverse our temp node with 1. So it will go like this. Temp equals temp to next, and this is it, guys. So like in 10 or less lines, we've dealt with this problem. So let's check if it is working or not. So as you can see, this list is not a palindrome now. I am calling reverse head here, and after this I am just going to print our flag. So if flag is 0, we know that our linked list is not a palindrome. If it is 1, we know that it's a palindrome linked list. As you can see, we've got 0 from here. And let's now make a palindrome linked list. So 1, 2, 3, and after this I'm just going to set fourth node to 2 and fifth node to 1. So therefore now we have a linked list like this: 1, 2, 3, 2, and 1. As you can see, this linked list is a palindrome. Let's run our code again. As you can see, we have successfully gained 1 from our function. So actually this is it. So let me explain the logic here a bit. This reverse function call, this recursion call, will call itself until its null pointer. So now at line 39 we are at the end of our cycle. So we have successfully reversed our linked list. So we now have the tail value. We are comparing the tail's value with our current temporary variable's value. So this is initial to head, as you might remember. So therefore we are comparing now head with tail. So if head's data is not equals to temp's data, therefore we know that this is not a palindrome. We've set our flag to false and return from our function. If not, we've set our temp equals to temp's to next. Therefore our condition is not satisfied, and we are setting our temp to the next variable. And since this head node returned from previous one, it will go to the tail minus 1 node's data, and so on and so forth. So if you are curious how to implement this in code signal, let's try to do it. So I'm just copying these lines here, and let's go back to interview practice, linked lists, and is list palindrome. Alright, cool. So we now have a bool function, and I'm just pasting the code here. And this has a different type of parameter in code signal. It's list node int of temp. So I'm just changing the variables here. And it's not data actually, it's value in here. Alright, so far so good. Now we need to set our temp node equals to head node. So temp will be equals to our head node. And after this we are just going to call our reverse function with our head node, and we are just going to return flag. So let's submit it. Cool. So we've got the correct answer, and in such small lines, and we've used constant space. We've just used only 2 variables, and we've successfully solved this question. And this method is not much known. I've just seen some people implement it and some people not, and I think it's much more better than this slow and fast pointers. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask in comments, and if you subscribe to my channel and like my videos, a little bit of support, I'll be really happy. So see you guys in the next tutorial. Take care.